Alright, I normally don't pick on other builders, but since the company person that built this van is no longer in business, I'm not going to mention their name, where they're at, anything. It doesn't matter, they're out of business. Um, to say I'm glad someone is out of business on this instance, uh, you'll see. So we're going to start out. Like I said, he used a lot of decent materials. You know, butcher block countertop, same thing I would have used. Uh, you know, backsplash, okay. The carpeting and stuff that he used. Sorry, the lights don't come on right now. I've got to kind of go through that. It's a rough build. Apparently, this gentleman contacted me. I don't know, about 2 or 3 years ago, but I don't know if we couldn't get something worked out or I didn't know anything about it. So the guy that I had running everything at the time, office manager, didn't give me any information on it. So we're going to fix it. So here's the switch to turn the lights on, but the switch is bad. And it was put in before the board was put on. So you can't get it out. It's got a nut on the backside. So we're going to cut out this board and we're going to put a panel in here. The customer would also like a couple USB plug-ins down here that runs off a 12 volt, so he doesn't have to have the inverter on all the time. I mean, he done a good job staining. I mean, I like the look of it. His finish work was questionable. You know, it's decent, but the part, I mean, even in here, you know, there's trim work, but then you can see like here, there's no silicone. Granted, it's up on the ceiling part, but like right in here, there's no silicone. Again, what silicone there is cracked. So that means when you take a shower, all the water's going to go down in the walls. Same with here. This is all cracked. I mean, you can see it's just... So we're going to fix all of that. And in the grand scheme of this build, that's not the worst of it. So let's go around back. All right, so as we get back here, this is the electrical cabinet. So see if I can get my flashlight out here, so that way we can see what's going on in here. All right, so this is the electrical that he left the customer. Twist nuts. Some of them are taped, some of them are not. He ran Romex for all of the 120 and 12 volt. They run an EcoFlow power system, which is pretty good. But when they hung it on the wall, they never put any screws in it. So it has bounced off the wall and is laying down here. Use Bosch water heater. Pretty decent. You know, the fill spout for the water could have been a little better. He did cut him a nice little flap here so he could put water in it. All the carpeting, you know, on the edges here that he finished everything out with. He took off the black plastic corner pieces and glued carpet to the framing. So if and when he has a brake light go out, he has to rip all that off to get to the inside to change it. And then let's go underneath. And this is where it gets real bad. So they did put a in behind here, and whenever I tear all this out to fix it, I'll show you. It is a Pioneer, they call it an underbench RV, kind of like a mini split, heat and air unit. I like the idea of it, but it looks like it was an afterthought. And I've asked the customer, and he said no. He said that was the plan from the beginning, to put an air conditioner in it that wasn't a rooftop or anything. It was supposed to be a 12-volt unit, but turned out to not be. All right, so as we get under here, this is how they left this gentleman's van. As you can see, all of the raw edges. I know it's kind of hard to get a flashlight where you can see everything. They never painted anything. They never sealed anything. They did spray a little bit of foam. And there's the air intake. The plywood's already fallen apart. You can see that the attempt to put spray foam, they've cut a lot of the bracing out and just kind of left it. And then up here's a drain hole where they cut 2.5-inch holes that go straight up to the bottom of the unit, and they run 1 3/4-inch line down to it. You know, there's the wires going up to the engine compartment for the DC to DC, just kind of randomly zip tied to stuff, you know, all the way up front. And then this Romex line here kind of runs over to the dump valve on the gray water tank, or tanks. So let's go check that out. All right, so as we get here to the gray water tanks, there's the vents, nothing over top of them. Again, there's the Romex kind of zip tied along here to the valve that's facing forward, and all of the drywall screws that are holding these tanks in. Here's the plumbing lines, you know, and then here's the best part. Yeah. So there's about, I don't know, 8, 10 screws. That's all holding that in there. That's it. And then the lines that are on this side, which I'm not sure why they're on this side, whenever the drains are all on the other side of the van. So why couldn't they have turned these around? And since they've got them on each side of the cross member, why is there a 3-inch gap on the top of it? Because there's no vents up there. And then we go to the other side. Okay, so there is the drain that comes from the kitchen sink. Yeah, he did attempt to spray some foam around it, but then it comes along here, all zip tied together, and oh, that's the drain for the shower. That's coming out of the bottom of the frame rail. And then they run over here. Again, just a few zip ties. And that's why they've got them going over to the other side and hooked in. I don't know what to say about this. I mean, the worst part about it is they charged this guy to do this. And, you know, I don't want to say I'm glad he's out of business, but I'm glad he's out of business because they have almost destroyed this van. And not only is this guy's camper van, but it's also his daily driver. So now what turned out to be a minor fix by replacing the gray water tank and trying to do a little button up in the back on the wiring has now come down to where I'm going to have to dismantle this entire part of the bed just to get in there to remove the air conditioner so I can see, one, make sure there's no rot underneath of the floor because they left all the wood open, and two, to create some kind of a box or a shield to keep any more water from getting in there, and put some kind of a pan, because apparently after talking to the customer, they had an issue with the condensation water draining off the air conditioner. So that's why they just started cutting holes and sending him out the door after they called in a plumber to work on an air conditioner. So let me get this tore apart so we can get a better look, and I'm almost afraid to. I mean, I feel bad for this guy because, you know, what come in for a couple $1,000 job, I don't know where it's going to be at now until we get this tore apart. You know, so he's going to put a new gray water tank, clean that up, you know, get rid of a bunch of this stuff here, and try to remedy some of his electrical issues. But, you know, now it's completely something different. And I'll take you guys along for the ride, is all I can say.